What's up, guys? Ted from Immersion here, and it's Tuesday again, so that means another Top 10 Tuesday. Having the fact that the Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns beta weekend number 1 just ended, I figured now would be as good a time as any to talk about my top 10 things I'm most excited for coming in Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns. Number 10 is Precursor Crafting. I'm not a huge Legendary guy, I've got one and I'm happy with it, but the hardest part, and I'm sure the hardest part, as anybody knows, is getting a precursor. Trying to get one out of the Mystic Forge is near impossible. Getting one from a random drop, just as hard. So you're pretty much resorted to the trading post, and you're going to pay ridiculous prices. Now, ArenaNet has said that precursor crafting isn't going to be something that's going to be really easy to do. It's going to take a while, but it's nice to know that at the end of it, you actually know what you're going to get. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see how that'll change the market and see if it drops the prices. And maybe if you do want to just go the quick route of buying a precursor, maybe it won't be as expensive for you. On 10, I talked about precursor crafting. Number 9, I'm going to talk about new legendaries. Again, not a huge fan, and it is really unfortunate that they're only adding 3 new legendaries. Aside from the legendary back pieces, which we already heard about, the fractal one and the PvP one, so I'm assuming there's going to be a world versus world one. But yeah, 3 new legendary weapons. Really hoping it's not a great sword, because I feel like they have 3. It would be kind of cool to maybe see a new staff, because the Bifrost and maybe a new short bow. I mean, I like both of those weapons personally, but I could definitely see where somebody's like a necromancer and they don't want to have like a rainbow staff. They want maybe something a little bit darker. And then that also opens the potential maybe you get something like you have with Dusk and Dawn and you make Eternity. You have, or I'm sorry, Twilight, and you know what I mean. But take the Bifrost and whatever the new staff is, and it makes a 3rd staff. That would be really cool. But yeah, some new legendaries are exciting. It'll be great to see the rush to see who the first people to get it are, and then the first person to put up footage on the internet of that weapon is probably going to blow up. So that's really, it's just exciting. It's almost like launch again. So I'm pumped for that. We also don't know if the recipes are going to be the same. Where I'm assuming you're still going to need things like obsidian shards and mystic clovers and that kind of stuff, but are you still going to need the gift of exploration? Are you going to need all that same stuff? Or are they going to come up with a whole new slew of things that you need? I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Number 8 is guild halls. This is something I'm sure if you're a Guild Wars player from the first game, and even if you just played other MMOs, that you really wanted guild halls, a nice place where you and your guild could congregate. And this would be, you know, rather than having to try to find a spot in Lion's Arch or Gandarian or some other, you know, place where there's not a lot of people so everybody can get into the same instance. Now you just have one place where you can all go. And all the functionality that they're adding to guild halls, like sending out a portal to go do missions and having guild-specific crafting and the kind of sort of dueling feature that they're going to have in there, and the fact that you have to go through an effort to take the guild in the first place. I've seen a couple of other MMOs have this. I know Neverwinter, I don't think they're in the game yet, but Neverwinter is having this kind of stronghold idea where you have to fight back the forces of evil, essentially, and claim it. And I think with Guild Wars, once you have it, it's yours, and I think with Neverwinter, it's actually like a constantly ongoing battle, which is good if you have active players, but the reason it's number 8 on the list is having just played the beta, a lot of things that I actually thought I wouldn't be that interested in have moved way to the front of the list, but that's only because I had experience with them. They didn't let us demo guild halls. I imagine we're not going to get to see that till launch of Heart of Thorns, which they have said is supposed to be sometime this year, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, it'd also be nice to kind of, you know, I figure it'll bring the guild back together, because I don't know about other people that have been playing, but my, you know, original guild that I was in from launch for almost 2 years, I mean, people still pop in and we're still online from time to time, but it's really kind of started to dissipate. And it's kind of at that point. I'm hoping a guild hall and an expansion will kind of bring everybody back. We'll get the gang back together. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Number 7 is the Forge. And by the Forge, I mean the Engineer Elite specialization. I really like the concept of the engineer character. I like the kits. I like the flamethrower. I thought that was the coolest thing when I first started playing in the original betas. Being able to have a flamethrower in a fantasy game was like insane. But one of the things that the engineer was severely lacking was any kind of melee weapon aside from the wrench from Toolkit. And from the very beginning, I'd been saying it needs to either get a mace or a hammer because, some sort of thing for crafting and, forging. And lo and behold, that's the name for the engineer specialization. And it has those cool drones and stuff like that. And I'm super pumped because my engineer has kind of, well, I made an engineer just to have this hammer. So I'm really excited for that. So it'll just give me, I noticed a lot of these specializations for the classes that I didn't play that often, the specializations are what's drawing me into them. And what's also on the flip side kind of unfortunate is the ones that I play consistently, I'm really not that interested in. But anyway, the Forge looks awesome, little drone guys and a hammer. I'm excited. Hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll actually get the teaser, or we'll get more than just a data mined image. We'll actually get the full specialization explanation and maybe points of interest on it. So number 6 are the Exalted, or as most of us have been calling them, the Mersat. Whether or not they're the same thing, I don't know, but that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about it. I love Guild Wars lore. It's what got me started doing the old Chronicles of Tyria podcast back in the day. I was the lore guy there. I love the lore of the Guild Wars universe. I've read all the novels. I have countless strategy books and art books, and 100+ episodes of a podcast where all we used to do was just talk about lore. And the fact that the Mersat might be back, potentially under a different name, is like not what I was expecting. So if we get to interact with them, maybe get to talk to them, see what's going on, maybe it's not even the Mersat. Maybe it's a completely new race called the Exalted that just looks like the Mersat, or a separate sect of the Mersat. And it's going to be Maguma Jungle-y. Maybe we'll figure out what's up with Radasum being an anagram of Mersat. Maybe that's where all the stuff came from. The Asura tech came from Mersat. I don't know, but again, another reason why I'm super pumped for this. I wish we could have gotten, some interaction or more interaction. I didn't encounter any in the beta, so hopefully the next beta maybe we'll get that. Number 5, speaking of other races, is the new Hylick races, the Itzel and the something with an N, New Hawk. Hylick Hecate were back in Guild Wars 1, and Hylick have been in Guild Wars 2, one of my absolute favorite sub-races. I would have loved to have them as a playable race. I realize that's not everybody's popular opinion. A lot of people, obviously Tengu's my number 1, but everybody wants like Kodan, and I don't think that would work. I feel like Hylick being one of the races you can help in your personal story means they're totally out. But I just thought they were really cool. It probably stems back to my love for Frog from Chrono Trigger. Being able to play as a Frog character would be awesome. But I love to see the differentiations between the different kinds of Hylick. There's the Amiali and the Zintel, and they got the Zintel, they're fighting over which god is the real god, and you have the Itzel kind of have that tree frog look to them, and I really like that. And I didn't expect to get new Hylick, and then if we got them, I figured we would just get a different color, because that seems to be the differentiation between them, is at least the ones we've encountered in sort of the Caledon Foresty area. They're like blue, red, and yellow, and that's it. That's the differentiation. Now we have 2 completely different designed ones, and it's awesome. It makes me hopeful for other things that we might see in new maps aside from just Verdant Brink. Number 4 is the Revenant, but not really the Revenant, more just Ritlock Brimstone coming back. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that didn't get to play the beta, but you get a small story instance before you actually get into exploring Verdant Brink, and in that you encounter Ritlock. Ritlock comes back, and out of all of Destiny's Edge, Ritlock is hands down my favorite. I don't need to explain to people I don't like Logan, or anybody really for that matter. Zoja, I don't know, I just can't like, she's kind of just a brat. Cave is stupid, and obviously all the stuff from the Living Story makes me not like her at all. And Air, I feel like she's too busy feeling sorry for herself, and also somehow had time to have a kid and didn't tell anybody. So Ritlock, by and far my favorite character from Destiny's Edge, and to see him come back and he's badass with new magic, and he's maybe the first Revenant, and the fact that he can, he invokes the Glint invocation, or the Glint legend, makes me think maybe there was some interactions in the mists because he actually knew Glint and fought by her side in Edge of Destiny. And I don't know, maybe we'll figure out what the deal is with Sahathan. I mean, he jumped into a pit to save it, into the mists to get that sword. He's got it back. Maybe we'll know how it got from Rurik in the Fire Island chain in Guild Wars 1 to him now. So I'm really pumped about that. The story of Heart of Thorns just looks great. In the little instance that I had, I felt like they made a big shift to make your character matter. Like, you are the pact commander. People recognize that you're the pact commander. You're taking charge. You're taking the lead. You're voice acted, which is also really nice. And I feel like, that was one of everybody's biggest complaints, is it didn't really feel like your story when it was your personal story. So it seems like they're going to change that. So I'm hopeful that with new interactions, and this really spiraled away from being Ritlock, but yeah, I'm really excited for new story stuff. Number 3 is the Chronomaster. I am a big... Actually, I don't even know what I was saying. I was not really a huge fan of the Mesmer. I liked it a lot in Guild Wars 1. I didn't really like the Mesmer in Guild Wars 2 that much. Outside from being able to portal people, it started with me portaling people in a jumping puzzle in Eternal Battlegrounds before they separated Obsidian Sanctum out. Like, that was one of the things I used to use my Mesmer for, is to just portal people up and down, to and from, and then go turn invisible, and then wait till the enemies leave, and then portal people back up, and that kind of thing. But it took me a while to really get into the Mesmer, and I think part of that was, in my mind, Mesmer really comes into its own at 80 when you have all the options available to you. Leveling up, I wasn't like a huge fan of that, but once I got to 80 and I could see all the different things I could do, the class really started to make sense to me. And the Chronomancer just makes it that much more fun. That continuum shift where you kind of pause time and then everything you do happens outside of time and then it comes back is insane. In PvP, it's nuts because you can drop your elite, you can get bursted down to 1 health, and when your continuum split ends, you're back up to full because like none of that counted. 2 elites, 2 of that shield stun move, and I would have thought that shield would have been kind of a lame weapon, but they made it awesome. That shield 5 with the stun wave is just fantastic. It's also, from what I saw looking online and talking to other people in the beta, one of the few specializations that everyone seems really happy about. Like, they're not really like nitpicky or like just all out like, this class sucks, I need something different. Chronomaster seems to be in a really good spot, and hopefully nothing really changes between now and release of the game, because I think everything is really solid the way it is. Number 2 is gliding. Honestly, I didn't think... I mean, I saw in the trailer when it came out at PAX South that they were going to have these hang gliders. And to be honest, I was like, well, that's kind of cool. And then when I found out that it was only going to be limited to, like, the verdant brink type areas, I was like, well, that kind of sucks. Because it would be awesome to be able to, like, jump off a building in, like, Evanhawk. Or, fly all over someplace in Hurrah, and get, like, an aerial tour of all the fighting happening in Hurrah. I think that'd be... or an ore rather, that would be awesome. But so I wasn't really excited about gliding, and then for the first time, I actually didn't mess around too much in Verdant Brink. I spent a lot of time playing with the different specializations in PvP over this weekend, so I didn't actually unlock the glider till like 10 a.m. this morning, Monday morning rather, and I loved it. I had such a good time with that. Just the little bit of gliding that I did do, I had a blast. And, it just blew me away how exciting just one little feature like that is. And I only ever had the first rank of it, so I didn't get updrafts or any of that fun stuff. But yeah, gliding way more fun in practical use than I actually have ever thought it would have been. And number 1 is the Reaper, which is the Necromancer elite specialization. Necromancer is probably my least played class. I've had a level 27 Asura Mesmer for 2 years, I think. I have never really played that character. Maybe it's because it's Asura, I don't know, but that's the only Asuran character that I have, so I never even managed to finish all the personal story for that character. Necro, I don't know. I loved Necro in Guild Wars 1, and it just didn't feel the same to me in Guild Wars 2. I mean, not that I say I hadn't played it, because I did have a lot of fun fearing people off of cliffs in World versus World. But, the Reaper, oh my god. Like, when I heard about this announcement, it made me want to make a Reaper so that I could make a costume out of it. You can kind of see over my shoulder here is my Genesis, and this is most of my Guardian armor that I did for DragonCon last year, my Guild Wars 2 Guardian armor. But yeah, I loved the Reaper. So, this Greatsword is okay. It's cool looking. You look badass, but I'm not like too much of a fan of it in practical use. I didn't really feel like I ever really understood the 3 through 5 skills, and that's mostly on me just not really looking at them. Shouts are pretty cool. I didn't really use too many of them. I used 1 or 2, whichever the one that makes suffer, I think, is the one that gives everybody chill and like also cures a condition from you. So I use that one a lot. But honestly, my favorite thing is just Reaper Shroud. Just that scythe and that force skill where you spin with that scythe just decimates people. I had such a blast. I mean, I was able to put on only Valkyrie's gear, and a couple of traits gave me near 100% crit chance without specking any precision, and it was nuts. So, you know, I'd be spinning, starting at 3k, getting up to 10k crits, and just, like, right through a group of people. That Reaper Shroud would end, then I'd pop Lich Form. When I got out of Lich Form, I'd have Reaper Shroud ready to go again. Yeah, I've never been so excited to play a Necromancer in my Guild Wars 2 experience, and this really did it. So, again, this is another class, maybe some tweaks to the Greatsword skills themselves, but for the most part, I love this class. So, that's what I'm most excited for. Just, again, a couple, I guess, honorable mentions of things I'm excited for. Level cap didn't increase, so that's kind of nice. No new tier of gear, so there's no gear grind, there's no level grind. Not that there's really ever been any level grind in Guild Wars 2. 10 levels would be a joke, because most of us have enough tomes of knowledge we could just get up 10 levels, and it wouldn't be a big deal. So that's exciting. Honorable mention is this mythical, difficult group content that we've heard nothing about, and the game has been announced to come out in 2015. I mean, a lot of us are thinking December 31st because you haven't told us anything about one of the pillars of your expansion, and you haven't told us it yet, and it's August, so we're running out of time. And then I figured I would just end this on a couple things that I'm not really pumped for in Heart of Thorns. Dragon Hunter. Guardian is my main character, and I have no desire whatsoever to play Dragon Hunter. I started not liking it when I heard about it, and then I played it this weekend, and I just had no love for it. I didn't like the longbow. I thought the longbow 5 was way too high of a cooldown for something that wasn't that great. I think traps are kind of meh. I don't know. I know they're kind of trying to do this thing where they keep it in the existing pool of skills. I thought Wells on Chronomaster were great. I thought the shouts on Necro were solid. I feel like it didn't make sense to also give shouts to Elementalists, but they did. But traps didn't really seem to fit Guardian for me, at least for me. And the fact that the Longbow 5 is more or less seems to have almost the same functionality as the Elite Trap. So I don't know why you would ever use that when you have something like a 28-second recharge shout that gives you quickness and fury. So I'm not really pumped about that. I'm not really excited about the Tempest, although to be honest, I didn't give the Tempest enough of a shot. I think. I didn't really play around too much with it. Not really that excited for the Revenant. I thought I would be, but I played around with the Revenant quite a bit too. And maybe I just didn't find the right combination of legends and weapons um, that go well together. But I just couldn't really get behind it. I get that it could do a lot of things. The Ventari legend can heal, and it seems almost like it's spec to almost entirely be healing, which I thought we were trying to not have that happen in Guild Wars 2. You got your Condi spec and your tanky spec and your damage spec with all the different legends, but and maybe the glint one will like blow me away when it gets unveiled this week, and that'll be it. Like I'll be like, oh, I'm on board Revenant. It's a heavy armor class. I'm a big fan of heavy armor classes in Guild Wars 2. I'm a fan of Guardian. And I'm hopeful that I'll do this because this is another, I like building armor, so this would be another cool costume to make. But I don't know. I wasn't really that pumped about the Revenant. Oh, the new PvP mode. Not really that excited about it. I played it once, but I didn't really. It wasn't intuitive to me what I had to do. And I mean, granted, it was in a PvP scenario, so nobody on my team was super helpful. They weren't like, "This is what you need to do." There were just a lot of pings on the map. I don't know what that means. But I don't feel the game type itself had tooltips or, the announcer telling you like, go do this. It's like your base is under attack. The enemy has summoned a hero. What does that even mean? I don't know. So I feel like that needs some work. I didn't mess in World versus World at all. I don't think there was anything different there. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I don't know. What did you guys like about the Guild Wars 2 beta? My favorite experience in the entire beta was right at the end. Oh, that's something I didn't like. No beta end event. The beta events in Guild Wars 1 all the way through the launch of Guild Wars 2, each one of those betas, they always had some sort of fun end event. Whether it was Gwen raining fire on everybody in Guild Wars 1, or the zombie or Hunger Games in the Guild Wars 2 betas, which were not amazing, and they should bring those back as, just mini games or something like that. But yeah, nothing. They extend, and like we were all there, like, oh great, it's gonna end. So we made this whole like kind of video where we all sort of jumped off the cliff and glided and suicided to our death, which was really fun. And then we got the message, oh, they extended the beta for an hour. So we're like, oh man, they extended the beta for another hour. That means that we're gonna get a final end event, and we didn't. So that's something else that I was upset about and not a fan of for Heart of Thorns, is the betas don't have end events, at least so far. And we don't have a release date. But I'm sure it'll be done when it's ready, as per ArenaNet. But anyway, guys, I'm sorry that was a little long-winded. It ran a little longer than I expected. It's just Guild Wars 2 hits very close to home for me. It's sort of how I got my start on everything on the internet, doing streaming, videos, any of that stuff. So it's a big, important part of my life that I've sort of put to the wayside because I haven't been on board with a lot of the decisions made in the game lately. But anyway, what was your guys' experience in the beta weekend? Did you enjoy it? Did you get to play it at all? Were there any things that you thought you weren't going to like that you really did, or things that you thought you were and you didn't? Let me know. Put them in the comments below, and we'll talk about them on MMO Monday next week, or I'll bring them up at the beginning of next Top 10 Tuesday. So anyway, guys, sorry for the length of it, but that's what she said, and I'll see you next time.